And think back, I didn't highlight this figure when we were on the cost slide, but for an out-of-state student, and you can argue about exactly the right way to calculate this, what the right denominator is, but CU for an out-of-state student costs something like $250 a day. Okay? So think about that as money, and think about what you could do sort of buying from this menu. Okay, let's skip past these things that we've already looked at. Okay, what could we do? Well, one of the things I want to point out here is that if you look at the things that we are doing, and I don't mean at all to say that these aren't good things to do, I think they are. We're doing a lot of really excellent work on how effectively we're delivering content. But, you know, if I've been conveying anything to you, that's not what it's about, right? The pressure we're under is not about whether we can deliver content a little bit better or not. Okay? So what should we be doing apart from that? Here are some suggestions from me, and there's a place where I hope maybe in the discussion, maybe others of you will have ideas when we get to that point. But here are a couple of things. So I wish I could attribute this. I believe it was from somebody who was an administrator at Oberlin, but I've not been able to go back and find where that came from. So this is not only sort of true as a statement about resources, but it's also, I would argue, very much in line with what Ellie Noam is saying we should be paying attention to, right? So what do we have here? Well, we have a whole lot of students, and they're all here. We're doing some things, like the LA program and the Sciences, the Learning Assistant program, is a great example of doing this. It's taking advantage of the students that we have as an educational resource for themselves as well as for each other. So the results show of the Learning Assistant program, someone who serves as an undergraduate learning assistant learns a huge amount from doing that, as well as helping the people with whom he or she works. So we should be doing a lot more about that kind of thing. We've already talked a little bit about this, and we'll see later what ideas you might have. But I want to come back to something, because I think about this, and I think about how we might respond to it. It seems to me this is the thing that's really going to be hard for us. So, and I'll put a picture out to sort of help with this, but I hope you already get that the main pressures on us, the reasons we may lose to alternatives, don't in the end have to do with quality. I mean, quality isn't wholly irrelevant, but it's not mostly a matter of quality. It's mostly about what our cost structure is. Again, costs going up 427% over a period of 7 years, corrected for inflation. That's a huge, huge fact. Okay? Coming back to the Ehrenberg book, the burden of most of the stories in that book, which is about, so why is college so expensive? Example, why is Cornell so expensive? He documents case after case in which academics decide, well, we have to do the high quality thing, regardless of cost. That's what our instinct is. Okay? Example from the book. Oh, we need a new parking structure. Well, and it really needs to be in this part of the campus, but you know, this is really bad, because where it needs to be, there's this wonderful lawn, and we all love this lawn. Solution, let's build a hugely expensive underground parking garage. Is that better? Of course it is. Okay, does it make everything more expensive? Absolutely it does, right? So our instinct in dealing with any kind of challenge is, well, how can we make what we're doing better? But that's not the point. We've got to find a way to make what we're doing cheaper. And I'd argue we essentially are doing zero about that. So here's the picture. So this is benefit per dollar. Okay, so you can take whatever measure of benefit you want to have. You can even imagine that the quality we're delivering is going upwards at some small rate. You really have to give me an argument to say that the benefit is going up at any rapid rate. But it's going to turn out the costs are rising so rapidly, it doesn't even matter. I can give you a fair level of increase in benefit, but you can't recover from the enormous increase in cost, right? So the benefit per dollar for us is going down. And again, if you might say, no, our quality really is getting better. Okay, fine. So the slope of this thing tilts up a little tiny bit. But that's basically the contour we're on. Here's them, whoever them are, right? And And so far, them hasn't really crystallized very much or very effectively. You might say, oh, come on, as long as our competition is, crass people like Newmont University, you don't really mean we need to take them seriously. But anyway, whoever they are, right, especially the online piece, and interestingly, Newmont isn't doing that. At any rate, the them broadly have falling cost, and so you can say, well, they're not getting any better. The fact is they are getting better, okay? But even if they weren't, they've got falling costs, so they're on some slope there that's upward. Okay, and we don't have to be mathematicians to see that there's something bad likely to happen here. And that's what Jonathan Rudin is saying. So, actually, maybe this is from just a couple of days, yesterday, actually. So, a big study came out of public attitudes towards higher education. A couple of things I've highlighted here. This is what most Americans believe. That doesn't mean that it's true, but this is what people are thinking about us. So they believe that we could admit many more students without either lowering quality or raising prices. We don't think that, but they do. So they're looking at us and they're saying, gee, they're not managing very well. And then here's something here. So over 10 years, the percentage of people who feel that the vast majority of, as it says, qualified, motivated students can go to college, that's now down to 28%. So the other almost 75% of people believe that the system we have is such that it isn't the case that the vast majority of qualified and motivated students can access college. And there's a number up there. This is actually a little bit better than last year because it's taken to be a measure of economic recovery. But even after a little bit of recovery, people are really indicating that they're sensitive to cost here. So this is actually intended to be a real straw poll, and actually I'm happy to add other alternatives here. But actually, I guess I'd be interested in, before we add alternatives, kind of seeing where people break out on these. So you could think lots of things, of course, but one thing you could think of is, boy, we really should be thinking about this. And I'm going to assert, and I hope maybe some of you can correct me, we're not. Okay? As far as I know, we're not thinking about these things. So you might say, okay, this is a real issue. Faculty or anybody in the university community should really be taking these kinds of things seriously. Or you might think, and some of the time I've thought this, as I said in the abstract, universities have been around a long time and things have changed a lot around them, but we keep rolling on, and you might say, well, there's really nothing we need to do here. Things always change in the background, but our core role remains clear. We just need to do that. And then here's another possibility. You might say, yeah, it's true this is a challenge, but there's no point for faculty to push for planning to take them seriously because there's no chance that we actually will. And so let's not waste our energy on imagining that we might respond to these things. Let's just kind of enjoy life while it lasts. So I am curious. So take a minute to talk with those near you, taking advantage of the fact that we are here in person. Yeah, Peter?
Question. Clayton, why did you include an analysis of open universities?
I'd like to do the straw poll, and then we'll have a big discussion, I hope. So let's hold that off.
But in your analyses here of the alternative.
Well, we could, again, I'll put that off. So take a moment to talk with those near you and decide which of these things you're going to vote for. And if you really want to abstain because you think the real rational response is not on the list, you can do that as well, and we can talk about that. So take a minute to talk it over.
I mean,